What's up, Summoners? King Blair here. Since we missed last week's Top 5 Tuesday, we're doing Top 5 Saturday this time, and this one's a little bit more informational, and it should hopefully help you guys. And it is going to be the top 5 mistakes that I made that really stunted my growth and slowed me down as a player. So if you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the Discord server. Link down in the description. All right, top 5 mistakes that I have made. So this is something that will apply to you whether you're early game or even all the way to late game. And if you're a late game player and you've been in some situations, especially for the earlier ones, type that in the comments. Yep, been there, done that. Not a fun time. Don't do those mistakes. All right, we're gonna start with number 5 and then move on to number 1, which is the thing that really hurt me and my progression in the game. But now, number 5 is going to be not keeping a copy of every 5-star. So this is one that seems basic and you're like, come on, King, let's be honest. But we're talking about artifacts and heroes. So first, let's quickly talk about artifacts and an example so you guys can understand the idea behind this. So if you guys didn't know, Alexa's basket was actually a really bad artifact. This artifact was one of the worst. It used to not give greater attack. It had lower chance of proccing, and it was just like attack buff. And it had like a 30% chance to proc. It was terrible, right? And a lot of people would sell their artifact. The thing is that the artifact got buffed in the future and it became one of the strongest artifacts. I had to buy this Alexa's basket from the powder shop when it came, wasting a lot of resources that could have helped me in the future. On the other hand, when it comes to heroes, people, I never did this, but I don't know the people that do, but they feed their 5-stars even though they don't have extra copies of them. So let's say I wanted to promote my Chu for some reason, right? I should not be feeding my only copies of Kisei and Kawick, even though I may not like them now. Because in the future, you don't know what that 5-star is going to be, if they're going to get a 5-star version. So the mistake that I did do was that I fed one of my Ball and Saisons, because I thought Ball and Saison was kind of trash, right? I always thought that Ball and Saison was really bad. The thing about it is, I still don't use Ball and Saison, but I got the ML counterpart of Sage Ball and Saison, and now I'm missing a really good imprint. He would be S imprint had I not fed that unit. So always keep at least one copy of a unit, and then for dupes, even for dupes, don't use it to upgrade your 5-stars. All right, that's the first one. Now, let's move on to number 4. And this one is going to be one that everyone should be doing, and it even I need to do it right now because I've been slacking. And that is going to be not doing the dailies and the monthlies. Y'all, there is so much reward you can get in this game as a free-to-play player. One of the biggest things is going to be the events that you can do daily, that it's just easy stuff just sitting there for you, that you can just get free stuff, and it only requires you to play a little bit. Like in 30 minutes, you can clear all the dailies and get 200 energy, finish all of this. And even if that's the only thing you're doing every day, just logging in, doing that quest, doing your dailies, you're going to be progressing in the future when you actually want to play the game a lot. This also translates over to doing the weekly stuff, right? So getting your Molagora. I still have to get my Molagora, right? Me missing out on this could really hurt me in the future when I actually want to play the game. Then I'm like, man, where's all the resources I'm supposed to get? So make sure you're doing those daily things, even things like the daily quest, like getting this stuff every day, clearing this one so that you're able to get the most out of your account and get the most resources. Because if you're doing that for a month and then you decide, man, I really want to play, then you'll have all these resources that you normally wouldn't have. So make sure you're doing your dailies, make sure you're doing your weeklies, make sure you're doing all of that good stuff. Now, we are going to be going to the number 3, which is going to be not asking for advice. So that's one thing that it's more of finding a community, and it's something that I didn't do until way later, and it's something that I encourage everyone to do right now, right? So if I go here and I go on the Discord, right, I have like the nice little, you know, the little Discord that I have that I always promote, and people are able to ask questions, and I'm able to ask for builds, ask for samples. We have this tab that it's like top unit build, so you can get an example to work off of, right? So it lets me, like, for example, for the Rickers, let's say I want to see a Rickers, or let's say I want to see a T-Cern. And having those resources, making the research, finding things, finding a community where you can ask questions, and having advice is really good. Because if you have someone that's already gone through all of this stuff, and you ask them for advice, you're going to be progressing a lot faster. One of these is going to be things like Wyvern 13, right? If you watch a bunch of videos, make your research, then you'll know exactly how to tackle it, and you won't be wasting resources to try to do stuff. So either find a community, ask other players, ask your guild, watch videos, watch all this other stuff, because it really will help you become a better player. Watching guides works. I used to not, and now I do, and I make videos about it, but like I used to not even watch guides, and now I do, and it helps me be a better player, and for me personally, be a better YouTuber. Right. Now on to the number 2. Now this is one that probably hurt me personally the most. And it's going to tie into number 1, and I'll tell you guys what number 1 is in a second. But number 2, we have not building the meta units. Now, I know you're like, but this game's supposed to be about having fun and doing all this stuff. And I agree with you. I do build a lot of units just for fun. They don't have to be meta, right? But especially when you're an early game player, if you refuse to build good units, you're going to be hurting in the long run. For example, Ross. How many of you guys have your Rosses built? If I ask this question, and I probably will in the community tab after this video goes up, how many of you guys have your Rosses built? A lot of you guys would tell me, no, I don't have them built. And you're missing out on one of the best knights for PvE and PvP. Same thing with Falconeer Clury. Completely free to play unit that will just propel your account if you just have them. So why not build the units that are going to help make your life easier? Right? Especially like units like this that don't really require that many resources. You can very easily invest in them and get so much out of them for PvE, PvP, anything you want to do. And then you'll be able to build the fun stuff later down the line and combine it with things like Ross. And this goes to even things like Tamarine. I know everyone, if they had Tamarine, they would build it. But for me, I refused to build Tamarine for so long, and I was so stubborn, and it really put me back in PvE. Same thing with building the Wyvern units. Like, for me to get a Wyvern 13, it took me so long because I kept building all these other units I don't even use, and I wasn't able to progress in the game because I was so locked into the fun units. So build the meta units, build the units that are going to help you. That's the biggest tip I can give you for that one. But now on to the number 1. So this one kind of ties almost everything together, and it's just the thing that really, 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 really hurt me. And you can see it right now by how little gold and how little crystals I have. And I'm still recovering from that mistake even a year after it happened. And that is going to be mismanaging your resources. Don't mismanage your resources. If you mismanage your resources, you're going to be in a terrible position, and it won't allow you to progress later on. So biggest thing is going to be things like not just building a unit that you think looks cool and then throwing them in the trash. If I look down here, Sermium, I don't even use right now. I'm still trying to find a use for her, and look how much molas I have invested in her. I have so many mola invested in her, which could help me to another unit that I may enjoy more in the future, but I can't. If we look at things like my Melissa, I used to use Melissa quite a bit, but then I stopped using her because I really didn't like her at the end of the day. Things like, for example, okay, this one was for fun, but you get the idea. This one's more of the fun one. But even things like Pavel, like Tywin, Mercedes, look at all these Molagora I just wasted. Like Lilibet, I just slapped on 2 molas because I had the extra resources. Don't do that. Don't just waste resources. This also goes to things like gold. Don't just upgrade bad things. Don't just use charms or artifacts that you don't even know if they're good, right? If I just see this, I shouldn't just come in and put 3 red charms, right? I shouldn't just come in and put a ton of red charms, right? Or if I go to the boots, right? Like say I go to the boots and I go to this boot, I shouldn't just go like this and put a bunch of these and click it. I should probably start with the low ones, see how it's starting to roll, and then commit, right? So don't just waste your resources. Don't just blow your resources. Don't just blow your charms, your gold, your everything. Make sure you have a plan in mind. Make sure you test things. Before I even mola Lilibet, I should have tested her and seen if she fit in a team comp. I shouldn't have to build a team comp around finding that. And I started doing that. Look at my Tenebria. She is almost 6-star awake. She's not 6-star awakened. I'm going to awaken her, put on some sample gear. Like this is just placeholder gear. I'm going to try her out. And then if I'm like, okay, she's a good unit, then I can commit to her. If I find a gear, for example, this piece, this is already starting to look pretty nice, right? It max rolled into attack. It has some really good substats for Tenebria. So now when I go back, I'm going to slowly enhance it, right? I'm only going to see what it goes at each level before I just blow it all out. And then when it comes to reforges, same thing, right? I shouldn't just blow my reforge mats. And this is something that I used to do, and I used to reforge like anything that I wanted. But now I don't. And look how many more reforge mats I have, right? I'm able to just save up. But in the past, there's things like a blue ring that I just don't even use, and it's reforged. And it's just such a waste. Like, look at this. It's so wasteful. I just wasted 200 reforge mats. And it just put me so far back. So don't mismanage your resources. But that is all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. If you're someone that this has happened to you, write it down in the comments. Let me know. Let me know I'm not alone in mismanaging my resources and all these other stuff. But if you follow these things, hopefully you will become a much better player than I am in the future. But yeah, that's all I got. And I will see y'all next time. Peace.